Hello students, today's topic is classification of quality tools. So there are 7 basic quality tools which can assist an organization for problem solving and process improvement. So these quality tools will assist the organization to solve the problems and to organize the process properly and for improvement of the process. So the first person who proposed these 7 basic tools was Dr. Kaoru Ishikawa in the year 1968. So what are those tools which he introduced? First one is the check sheet. The second one is the graph, or it is said as trend analysis. That is nothing but the flowchart which is mentioned here. The third one is the histograms. Fourth one is Pareto charts. Pareto chart is mentioned here. The fifth one is the cause and effect diagram. So this is the cause and effect diagram. Sixth one is the scatter diagram, which is mentioned here. The seventh one and the last one is the control charts. Histogram is mentioned here and this is the control chart. So these are the 7 quality tools which were first introduced by Dr. Ishikawa, who is from Japan. So here we can see the relationship among these 7 tools and their utilization for identification and analysis of quality improvement. So from this diagram we can see how these tools are related to each other is shown in this diagram. How these tools are useful for or utilized for identification and analysis of improvement of quality. So here we can see this is the data table, that is nothing but the check sheets, and Pareto analysis are merely meant for identification, and histogram, scatter diagrams and control charts are for analysis of the processes. For both identification and analysis we can use cause and effect diagram or cause and effect analysis, which is also called as Fishbone Diagram, and there is trend analysis which will both identify and analyze the process. This trend analysis is nothing but the flow charts. Now let us discuss these 7 tools one by one. So the first one, that is the check sheet. Check sheets are simple forms with certain formats that can help the user to record data in a firm systematically. So these check sheets are nothing but they are certain formats or forms of certain format which will help the user to collect the data or record the data in a firm in a systematical manner. So the data here is collected and it is tabulated on a check sheet to record the frequency of a specific event during data collection period. So if an event is occurring again and again, then it can be checked or its frequency can be recorded by collecting the data and tabulating it on a check sheet. So with the help of these check sheets, we can prepare consistent, effective and economical approach that we can apply during the auditing of quality assurance. Now let us discuss these quality tools one by one. So the first one is the check sheets. So these are simple forms with certain formats which will help the user to record data in a systematical manner. So they are some forms with some specific format that will help the user or operator to record data in a systematic manner. So the data is collected and tabulated on the check sheet so as to record the frequency of a specific event during data collection period. So there are number of events occurring during a process. So this data sheet will help to analyze the frequency or to know the frequency of a particular event when we are collecting and tabulating the data. So here we can see there is one table, it has a specific format. Okay, here the data is collected and tabulated, that is it is written down in the table. This whole table is called as the check sheet, and this check sheet will be useful to record the frequency of one particular event. So this data sheets or check sheets will prepare a consistent, effective and economical approach which can be applied during the auditing of quality assurance for reviewing and following the steps in a particular process. So we are following a particular process or a particular procedure in which we are carrying out some process. So if these steps are effective, economical and consistent, we can know with the help of these data sheets which will provide a good review for quality assurance. So these check sheets also help the user to arrange the data for utilization later. So you can utilize or use this data later for carrying out the same processes. So it will help to arrange the data for utilizing it later. The main advantage of these check sheets is that they are very easy to apply and to understand, and also it can make a clear picture of the situation and the condition of the organization. Easy to apply and understand. And so one more advantage says that they are efficient and powerful tools to identify frequent problems. So they can identify frequent problems. But the disadvantage is that they do not have effective ability to analyze the quality problem in the workplace. So they cannot identify or analyze the quality problem in the workplace. So here we have taken example of a check sheet, that is a tally for telephonic interruption. So the reasons, one column has the reasons, the other columns has number of working days, or this table is showing the telephonic interruptions. So from wrong number on Monday, how many interruptions were made, and info request, how many interruptions were made. So the calls by boss or the telephonic interruptions made by the boss. So the total. So this is how a check sheet will appear. So here it is giving the detailed data of calls or telephonic interruptions which are made on each day. So this is about the check sheets. The next one is the histogram. So histogram is a very useful tool to describe a sense of frequency distribution of observed values of a variable. So it is a very useful tool which can describe the sense of frequency distribution of observed values of a variable. It is a type of bar chart which visualizes both the variable and the attribute data of a product or process. So it visualizes both attribute and variable data of a product or process. So it will assist the user to show the distribution of the data and also the amount of variation within the product, within the process. So not only showing the distribution but also the amount of variation also can be shown with the help of this histogram. So it will display the different measures of central tendency, that is the mean, mode and the average. So this histogram must be designed properly for those working into the operation process can easily utilize and understand them. So it must be designed properly for understanding purpose. So this histogram can also be applied to investigate and identify the underlying distributions of variables which are being explored. So here there is a histogram for variables and this histogram is for manufacturing process failures. So this is the frequency and there is each process. So this is the run-up test. So you can see there is a block formed here. Then there is a system integration. The failure of system integration is more compared to that of run-up test. Then there is motor static test whose failure is less compared to that of the system integration. Then the motor integration, the failure of this motor integration has a largest frequency when compared to the other processes. So this is how the histogram is plotted and understood. The next one is the Pareto analysis. So this Pareto analysis was introduced by an Italian economist whose name was Vilfredo Pareto. So introduced by. So a Pareto chart is a special type of histogram that can easily be applied to find and prioritize quality problems, conditions or their causes in the organization. So this is a type of histogram which can be used to find and prioritize, that is to give importance to the quality problems, the conditions and their causes in the organization. On the other hand, this is a type of bar chart that will show the relative importance of variables prioritized in descending order from left to right of the chart. So it is also a type of bar chart that shows the importance of variables prioritize in descending order from left to right of the chart. So the aim of this chart is to figure out the different kind of non-conformities from data figures, maintenance data, repair data, part scrap rates or other sources. So it will find all the non-conformities, that is the parts or the data which is not conforming to the standards. So this Pareto chart also generates a mean for investigating concerning quality improvement and improving efficiency, material waste, energy conservation, safety issues, cost reduction, etc. So this Pareto chart will create a mean for investigations which are concerning with quality improvement. So improving the efficiency of the process, reducing the waste, energy conservation, safety issues, and cost reductions. So here there is a Pareto chart. We have taken it as an example which is demonstrating how to improve or how the production has been improved before and after the changes which are made. So this is before the changes and this is the after the change. So here this is July December 1992 and this is in the month March and August 1993. So here we can see that this is the frequency. Here they have given the percentage, this is the frequency, and these are the different types of processes. So this is about the Pareto analysis. The next type of tool is the Fishbone diagram, also called as the cause and effect diagram. So this diagram is also called as Ishikawa diagram by the name of its founder, that is Dr. Karo Ishikawa, who had founded it in the year 1943. So it is called as the fishbone diagram because of the shape of the diagram. It looks like the skeleton of a fish to identify quality problems based on their degree of importance. So here we can see that this diagram looks something like this. So which is the skeleton of a fish. So that is why it is called as a fishbone diagram. So this diagram is drawn to identify quality problems based on their degree of importance. So this diagram is a problem solving tool that will investigate and analyze systematically all the potential and the real causes that result in a single effect. So this diagram is a problem solving tool. What does it do? It will investigate and analyze in a systematic manner all the potential and real causes that will result in a single effect. That will result in a single effect. So this is an efficient tool that equips the organization's management to explore the possible causes for a problem. So it is an efficient tool to explore or to find the possible causes for a problem. So how does diagram help in solving the problem? So this diagram will provide problem solving efforts by gathering and organizing the possible causes reaching a common understanding of the problem, and it will expose gaps in existing knowledge, ranking the most probable causes, and studying each case. So it will provide problem solving efforts. It will gather and organize the possible causes for the problem. Then it will provide common understanding of the problem. It will expose gaps in existing knowledge, ranking the most probable cause, and then by studying each cause. So here we can see that there is a problem, that is the head, and these are the elements which are being used in the process, that is the machine, method, and material. Then there is measurement made with the help of machine, then the method which is being followed by the personnel, and the material and the effect of the environment. So each of them are being checked for problems. So if the machine has a worn out cutter, then the method, there is a wrong sequence in the method. This machine can have excessive wear in the gears. It may be too slow, or it may be speed or too fast. So the material which we are using may be incorrect material, or it may be damaged. So all the possible causes for this problem are being checked in this cause and effect diagram, which is also called as the fishbone diagram. So this is a very beautiful example which is being given here. So the measurements which we are making with the help of calipers, and this caliper is worn out, and the personnel who is working on the process may be poor in training, or if he has a bad attitude. So the effects of the environment will also be checked here. So this is about the cause and effect diagram, also known as the fishbone diagram. The next type is the scatter diagram. Scatter diagram is a powerful tool to draw the distribution of information in 2 dimensions. So this will help to detect and analyze a pattern relationship between 2 quality and compliance variables as an independent variable and a dependent variable. So it will help to detect and analyze pattern relationship between 2 quality and compliance variables. So not only to detect and analyze the relationship, but also to know if there is a relationship between them, then what kind of relationship is formed, whether it is weak or strong, or it may be positive or negative relationship between these two, that is the 2 quality and compliance variables. Understand the type of relationship between these 2 variables. It is whether the relationship is weak or strong, or is it positive or negative. So the shape of this scatter diagram usually shows the degree and the direction of relationship between 2 variables, and also the correlation may reveal the cause of the problem. So here this correlation, that is in this scatter plot we can see that there is a positive correlation. Okay, so it is showing us there is a positive correlation between these two variables. So here we have taken an example of a scatter plot. We can see there is a positive correlation which will show us a rise in this direction of these two variables. So there are two variables here whose correlation is positive. If it is getting downward, it is a negative correlation. If it is scattered, then there is no correlation between these two variables. So this is the scatter diagram. The next one is the flow chart. So flow chart is a diagrammatic picture that indicates a series of symbols to describe the sequence of steps existing in a process or operation. So the flow chart will represent the sequence of the steps. So how the process is being taking place with the help of different types of symbols. So flowcharts will visualize the pictures which include input activities, the decision points, the outputs for easily understanding the overall process. So this chart as a problem solving tool can apply methodologically to detect and analyze the areas or the points of processes which may have potential problems by documenting and explaining an operation. So it will be very useful to find and improve the quality in the process. So this flowchart will be very useful for finding the problems by documenting and explaining the process or the operation. So it is very useful in improving quality in a process. So there is an example here we have taken for the flow chart of a review process. So there are different types of tools which are used. The first one is the input, that is receive, client, documents. Then it is passed on to prepare the list of scenario to test and send to the client. Then client approval. So if the client approves it, then we will go for the next step. If not, we will rewrite or we will update the scenarios. The same way this flow chart flows into different steps which are carried out in a process. So this is a example for a flow chart. The next type of chart is the control chart, which is the last quality tool which we are going to discuss. So this chart was first introduced and developed by Walter A. Steve Hart in the year 1920. So this control chart is a special form of run chart that illustrates the amount and nature of variations in the process over the time. So these charts can also draw and describe what has been happening in the process. It can draw and describe what is happening in the process. So it is very important to apply the control chart because it can observe and monitor the process to study the process that is in, if it is in statistical control or not. That is, whether it has some problem with the quality or it has no problem with the quality according to the samplings, or to check whether these samples are between the upper quality limit and the lower quality limit or not. So it is very important to apply control charts because it can observe and monitor the process to study if it is under statistical control. So in simple words, statistical control can be said as it has no problem with quality. So it has this charts will have two limits and the samplings are checked within these two limits, that is the samples or the samplings are checked if they are between these limits, that is the UCL, that is the upper quality limit or upper control limit, and LCL, that is the lower control limit. So if the process is in between these two limits, then the process is said to be under statistical control. UCL and LCL, that is upper quality limit and lower quality limit, then the process is said to be in statistical control. That is, it has no problem with the quality. If the process is not in between UCL and LCL, then the process is said to be out of control. So these control charts can also be utilized for estimating the parameters and reducing the variability in the process. So it can be used for estimating the parameters and reducing the variability of the process. The main aim of the control chart is to prevent defects in the process. So here we can see an example for the control chart. So they have taken a number of samples, then average wall thickness of these samples is being measured. So this is the upper control limit UCL. This is the average of all the samples. This is the lower control limit, that is the LCL. So in this process, the average wall thickness of the samples is well in between the upper control limit and the lower control limit. Only one sample has it above the upper control limit. So we can say that the study of these 7 quality tools is very essential, or the 7 quality tools must be essentially applied in the production processes in the organization for troubleshooting the issues, so that the production processes can be improved by multiple factors of these statistical quality control tools. So this is all about the quality tools. I hope you have understood the topic. Thank you.